Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Today we will be decoupaging this box. I received this box as packaging for some ceramics that I'd ordered online. You can still see the fragile tag on it, and this is the lid. So let's begin. Here you can see the ply that has been used for the box is quite thin and a little grainy in texture too. So what I'll be doing is I'll be using MDF sheets like these, which I will cut to size in accordance with the box, and I would stick them over the ply. This would give it a very smooth texture for me to decoupage on. To cut the MDF sheet, mark to size and run your X-Acto knife over the mark with the help of a scale and bend it slightly in the opposite direction, and there you would have it cut into two. If you are upcycling any article by decoupaging, make sure you first rid it of all the tape, stickers, bills, etc. that might be present on it. You could also sand it down using a fine grit sandpaper before you begin the actual work. Here I have some regular craft glue. You could use PVA glue, craft glue, or any glue that adheres wood well to wood, and squeeze it all over one surface of the box. Make sure you spread it with a spatula or a brush so that it gets into the grooves of the ply. And place your cut MDF sheet over it, making certain that all the edges are aligned properly. So this is what the box would look like once you have all the surfaces covered. I have left the bottom and the inside, but I've covered the lid and all the outer surfaces, as you can see, because that's the only part that we'd be decoupaging. This is the paper that I'd be using today for the box. Here I've cut the paper in accordance to the size of all the outer surfaces of the container as well as the lid. Take some decoupage glue and start applying over the surface to be decoupaged. As you can see, the paper is neither too thin nor too thick. That means I need not work on it part by part, and I could apply the glue all over the surface at once and then place the paper over it. As soon as you place the paper, make sure you quickly smoothen it out from center outward. Take a piece of fine grit sandpaper and rub it on the edge downward like this, so that the extra piece of paper from the edge comes loose. Here I have all the sides done, and this is what the box looks like at this stage. The next step is locking down the edges or sealing the edges with decoupage glue. So in this step we will only be sealing or covering the edges with the glue. We would be eventually covering the entire box, but before we move on to the entire box, we would first seal the edges. And this is how it looks. I forgot to show the lid earlier. This is how it looks with the lid. Now we move on to the entire surface of the container. So we apply decoupage glue all over one side of the box and leave it to dry. And subsequently do this to all the other surfaces as well, and the lid. Once the layer of decoupage glue has dried completely, it's time to move on to the next step, and the next step is coating it with some water-based wood varnish. So here you coat each surface just like we did with the decoupage glue. Coat it once on each surface and let it dry. Do this to all the surfaces of the container and the lid. Once you're done with coating the entire box with water-based wood varnish and it's completely dry, we move on to the next step, that is fixing the accessories or hardware. So here I'm trying to place or decide where to place the hinges, and I'm marking the spots accordingly. This is a very important step that I skipped showing earlier. This is to increase the thickness of the box, especially if you're using or upcycling a very thin ply box like I am. Now I'm doing this is because the hinges that I'm going to use are quite bulky, and the screws that have come along with the hinges are bigger in size as compared to the thickness of the ply. So I need to increase the thickness for the screw to not come out too much into the box. To increase the thickness, I've used the thin strips of the same MDF sheet that I used earlier to cover the outer surface, and now you can see it is the perfect thickness that can incorporate the screw along, which has come along with the hinge. Now this should be done on both the surfaces, that is the inner surface of the lid as well as the inner surface of the box, because the hinge technically would be on both the surfaces. Coming back to where we left it earlier, we are back to drilling on the spots that we had marked. So I'm drilling the holes for all the accessories that will be on the box before fixing any of them. Here I have a latch that acts like a closure for the box. Once all the holes are drilled onto the sides and the top, that is the lid of the box, before drilling any holes onto the bottom of the box, we first coat it with water-based wood varnish even on the interiors. Now coming to the bottom of the box, here I have some feet that I will be attaching to the bottom surface, and the procedure is the same as we did earlier. Mark the holes and drill. Lastly, before fixing, we coat the bottommost surface with water-based wood varnish as well. As you can see that the screw that has come with the leg is quite big, and if I affix this to the leg, the screw would protrude a lot inside the box this way. So I've decided to go with a smaller option that would fit into the holes of the leg. So this is the smaller screw that I'll be using.